You're listening to The Weekend Take. And now your host, Sean Schaefer.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to this edition of The Weekend Take. I'm your host, Sean Schaefer, and joining me for this special Oscars edition of The Weekend Take is co-host of Forrest Gump Minute, Rob Lumley. How you doing, Rob?
Good, Sean. Thanks for having me on. I love to talk Oscars. Love it.
Well, as listeners of the show may remember, Rob joined me last year around this magical time to put in our Oscar picks, which I'd say we did pretty good. Looking back on it, we did pretty good last year.
Yeah, so this is why it's fun to talk about Oscars before the Oscars, because there's hope that they'll make a good choice and there'll be light in the world, and then Green Book wins, and then I get mad, and it takes me a year to get over it.
Although I think I said that something else was... Oh, I said that Bohemian Rhapsody was going to win, and you lost your mind over that.
Yep. It didn't win. But I don't know if I'm thankful. But I will say this. This is a much better year in movies than last year.
Agreed. You'll be thankful to know then in the bestest picture tournament that we're currently running on the Weekend Take social media pages, Green Book was ousted in the first round.
It was. I was happy to see that.
You were not, however, happy to see Driving Miss Daisy beat Moonlight.
So listen, Driving Miss Daisy beating Moonlight is what is wrong with this world in 2020 in a poll. It's answered in a poll. That's what it was right there. I'm still mad. Now I'm triggered. Now I'm activated. I was all happy to be on here, Sean, and now I'm all mad.
All right. Well, maybe talking about this year's better field of films will get you in a better mood. So like last year, what we're going to do is we're going to look at some categories, obviously not every category because we don't have a 3-hour broadcast, and decide who we think should win and who likely will win, because we all know how the Academy works behind the scenes.
Yes.
So we've got a field of 11 categories that we're going to look at. We'll get started with the category of Best Film Editing.
For achievement in film editing, the nominees are
Andrew Buckland and Michael McCusker for Ford vs. Ferrari, Thelma Schoonmaker for The Irishman, Tom Eagles for Jojo Rabbit, Jeff Groth for Joker, and Yang Jin-mo for Parasite. So, Rob, who should win and who will win?
My pick to win is The Irishman. Thelma Schoonmaker is a legend, and she deserves that status. Let me be clear. And The Irishman is a great movie, so I think she will win. What I think should win is, as much as I enjoyed The Irishman, I cannot, in my soul, give it to a movie that's over 200 minutes long. She had to do more work than anyone else, or maybe less work, depending on how you want to look at it. But I would probably give it to Parasite.
Okay. Yeah, it's easy when your director's cut is your theatrical cut as well.
Mm-hmm. And that movie is wonderfully edited. The Irishman is a beautifully edited movie. I think it's great. So what are your picks here?
Well, my picks for what I chose is what I think will win, of which I think because of all the hype behind it and the number of nominations, I think Joker will ultimately get the Academy Award for Best Editing.
Ugh.
I know. I think what should win is The Irishman, but I think ultimately what will win, playing with the probability, with the fact that Joker has 11 nominations, it's not going to get shut out. By the end of the night, Joker will take home at least half to 3/4 of those awards that it's been nominated for.
Oh my God. Oh, all right. Okay.
It won't take home a lot of the big ones, and we'll get to that when we get to those categories, but I think it cleans up in a lot of other categories.
Okay, like sound editing, sound mixing, stuff like that. You think it's going to clean up makeup? They'll be like, oh my God, the Joker wore makeup.
Exactly. But when we get to it later, of the big awards, I only see it having a strong possibility of taking home one of the really big awards.
It's got one guaranteed. We'll get to it. There's one guaranteed.
For achievement in cinematography, the nominees are
Rodrigo Prieto for The Irishman, Lawrence Sher for Joker, Jaron Blaschke for The Lighthouse, Roger Deakins for 1917, and Robert Richardson for Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. So, Rob, in Best Cinematography, what is your pick that you think should win and what will win?
They're the same on this one. This one you can book. There's not even there's this. This is over. Roger Deakins is winning this for 1917. That's it. I don't think there's any doubt.
Well, I have to agree with you completely there. On my ballot, I have Roger Deakins as being the cinematographer who should win and a cinematographer who will win. It's incredible to think that my personal favorite cinematographer
Oh yeah, he's amazing.
went 13 nominations prior without winning anything. And here he is looking at back-to-back awards.
Once you bust that Oscar cherry, it's pretty easy to keep winning them.
Well, I mean, just ask Emmanuel Lubezki. I mean, he won 3 in a row.
Mm-hmm.
In Deacon's case, he does, I think, play a little bit into El Chivo's playbook a little bit on this one, because the 3 years that Lubezki won in a row, people argue that it was because each of those films had some kind of like gimmick attached to them. So Gravity, obviously,
Mm-hmm.
we're floating around in a blue screen studio. And then he won the following year for Birdman, which is, hey, what if it all looked like it was one take and we scrubbed the camera out of mirrors?
Yep.
And then The Revenant was the first major studio picture shot on the Alexa 65. It's a large format camera, all natural light, torture for the crew and cast, but visually amazing. And, if a cloud was not in the right place, everyone got sent home and we'll come back tomorrow and try again. And so in this case, 1917 is one of these films that is meant to be portrayed as this seamless, continuous journey and shot, following these soldiers through war. So one could argue that it's kind of a page from Lubezki's playbook, that it's like, oh, well, it's kind of a gimmick, but I won't be one of those people just because I think Deakins is so talented.
Also, you're a cinematographer. I know there's probably I think I read there's 32 cuts in 1917. And I don't know if you've seen it, but if you notice a lot of them, that would be an incredibly difficult project to be on the crew for.
Oh, yeah. No, and I've seen a lot of the behind the scenes of the film and how they accomplish what they set out to do. And it's awe-inspiring, really, just to see, all the preparation and the rehearsal that went into this. Like, all right, you're going to get one take. You're going to float down this river and we're going to track you with a techno crane. It'll be fine.
Yeah.
Roger Deakins, though, back-to-back Academy Awards for him. At least that's our pick.
Yeah, for sure. Put in stone.
It's easy also when you basically sweep the table at every other award event.
Yes. Yeah, that's true.
For Best Animated Feature Film, the nominees are
How to Train Your Dragon: The Hidden World, I Lost My Body, Claws, Missing Link, and Toy Story 4. So, Rob, we're both parents, so I'm sure we've both seen most of these films.
I saw 2 of these. I saw Toy Story 4 and How to Train Your Dragon: The Hidden World.
I've seen 3 of them. So I saw How to Train Your Dragon, I saw Missing Link, I saw Toy Story. I'm surprised that Frozen 2 is not on this list, because it came out in the eligibility window.
Yeah, I am too. I was surprised by that because I hadn't looked at this until before deciding to do this. I was like, oh, there's no Frozen 2. Yeah, man. I'm just going to go with the easy one on here. I think my pick of the 2 I saw, the one I liked more was Toy Story 4, and I think Toy Story 4 will win this again. They should just rename this the Toy Story Oscar.
The best Disney or Pixar animated film of the year?
Yeah.
Is that who you think should win, though? Like, you think that should win and will?
That's what I haven't seen Missing Link, so I'm just going to go with Toy Story 4 on here.
Okay. So for me, I picked what I think should win. I picked actually was How to Train Your Dragon. I thought that should win because I just think that so much more was achieved as an animated film.
Visually, it's a gorgeous movie.
It is. And honestly, I think the story of Hidden World is better than the story in Toy Story 4, because I kind of just felt that Toy Story 4 just kind of floated along. Like, first of all, I didn't think it was a necessary film.
No.
I thought the franchise tied up beautifully at the end of 3.
Yeah.
So 4 was completely unnecessary to me. And then the story didn't do anything to enrich or enhance the lore or the franchise, whereas Hidden World gave a great additional chapter, a closing chapter to the film's franchise. Like I said, How to Train Your Dragon, I think, should win. Ultimately, I think what will win, because it's Disney, it's Pixar, is Toy Story 4. Which is a shame, because if you get a chance, check out Missing Link, because the studio that makes it, Laika, which also did Kubo and the Two Strings.
Oh, that movie owns. Kubo and the Two Strings is really good.
Yeah, it's the same studio. They also did Coraline.
Okay.
They're a fantastic studio. They do animation different than everybody else, and so it's really cool to watch them do it.
I will check that out.
You're listening to The Weekend Take. Visit our Patreon page to become a patron of The Weekend Take, and for as little as $1, you'll receive exclusive content and perks.
For adapted screenplay, the nominees are
The Irishman, Jojo Rabbit, Joker, Little Women, and The Two Popes. So, Rob, looking at these nominees, who do you think should win and who will win?
Okay, so I love the screenplays because in my mind, if someone were to be like, "Oh, what movie should I watch every year?" and they gave you the list of best pictures, you'd see some good movies, but overall, I think it'd be a pretty not great experience. But if someone's like, "Here's what won Best Original Screenplay and Best Adapted Screenplay for the year," watch those. You'd watch some really interesting movies. So I always kind of feel like this is like, to me, like normally the best movie that wins these. So Best Adapted Screenplay, I'm going to go with The Irishman is what I would pick. What I think will win, and I actually haven't seen it yet, and I'm upset about it, so I hope to go see it soon. But I think Little Women is going to win. I think this adaptation of Little Women by Greta Gerwig is going to win Best Adapted Screenplay.
Once again, you and I are in agreement on both counts. I did pick the Irishman for Best Adapted Screenplay, but I think, especially because we're talking about a very political body being the Academy, I think with all the hullabaloo that went on with Greta Gerwig not being nominated for Best Director,
Mm-hmm.
I think since she wrote this adapted screenplay, I think they're going to give her Best Adapted Screenplay, but also on the merits that this particular telling of Little Women is head and shoulders above previous tellings of Little Women. But I think aside from just the merit of it, I think there's a little added kick from the Academy as like an apology for like, look,
We're very stupid. Sorry.
that was one of the biggest things that struck me when the nominations came out. So let me get this straight. You're going to nominate Little Women for Best Adapted Screenplay. You're going to nominate it for Best Picture. But the main person responsible for both of those aspects of the film isn't going to get nominated for Best Director.
That's because you have to make sure you have to give a nomination to the guy who did the Hangover movies,
So, all right. So we're both in agreement that we both feel strongly that The Irishman should win, but likely that Little Women will take home the Oscar.
Yeah. Watch Jojo Rabbit here, too. I haven't seen Jojo Rabbit yet, but I wouldn't, like, that could be like a curveball that gets thrown, that wins.
Yeah, I just checked out Jojo Rabbit a few nights ago with my wife. That movie is a trip.
Yeah.
Let me tell you.
I've heard good things.
It's such a strange but really cool film, and Taika Waititi as Adolf Hitler is priceless.
Yes, it sounds like it would be.
For original screenplay, the nominees are
Knives Out, Marriage Story, 1917, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, and Parasite. So, Rob, looking at Best Original Screenplay, who should win and who will win?
It's stupid that 1917 got a nominee for Best Original Screenplay. Technically, there's a lot to be impressed about, but no one's like, God, what a beautiful script about the two guys who went from one place to another. I'm going to say what I think will win, because this is my belief, right? The best movie tends to win. I think Parasite will win, and I think it deserves to win.
All right. So I have not been able to see Parasite yet. I've heard a lot of fantastic things. Actually, I will be checking it out probably the next few days because Regal, and I'm a Regal Unlimited member, but Regal Entertainment Group is doing their Best Picture festival where they reissue all the Best Picture nominees. Well, they say that, but there's two nominees that are left off the list, being The Irishman and Marriage Story, because down with streaming, says the exhibitors.
Mm-hmm. I think that's on Netflix, though. I really do. I think that's part of the Netflix contract, is they have exclusive rights to it now.
Yeah, I mean, it's certainly possible. I mean, last year they left Roma off the list, another Netflix property. So, but in a Best Original Screenplay, having not seen Parasite, what I picked to win was Knives Out.
Okay.
Because, I mean, it was just such a smart film for a whodunit.
That same guy made a really smart Star Wars movie too, and people got really mad, Sean.
I'm not going to comment on that, Rob, because I like having you on the show, and I don't want to argue with you about The Last Jedi.
Yep. We'll just move on. Just let me get that jab in. We can move on now.
What I think will win, because if nothing else, Hollywood loves to fall all over itself, is Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Yeah, I could see that winning. And I actually, like, outside of 1917, if any of these four win, I think that's great. I think they're all great scripts.
You think Parasite should win and will win. I've chosen that Knives Out should win and Once Upon a Time in Hollywood will win. Again, because I've not seen Parasite, so I can't weigh in on that.
Yeah, it's a trip. As I read on a Letterboxd review that I really enjoyed, since it's directed by Bong Joon-ho, Parasite is another Bong hit.
Clever staff at that publication.
Yeah.
All right, so now we move into what the general populace has an interest in, and
I'm actually sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt, but I said that thing about best original screenplay being more, like the original screenplays being more interesting. I'm curious if that actually holds up last year. I'm trying to remember who won. Adapted was Black Klansman, which was good. Best original was Green Book. Oh, they still fucked it up. Never mind. You can take all that out. Sorry. I'm sorry. I'll let you continue on.
Oh man, on to nicer and happier things, which is our Best Supporting Actress category.
For performance by an actress in a supporting role, the nominees are
Kathy Bates for Richard Jewell, Laura Dern for Marriage Story, Scarlett Johansson for Jojo Rabbit, Florence Pugh for Little Women, and Margot Robbie for Bombshell. So Rob, in the category of Best Supporting Actress, who do you think should win and who will win?
Okay, so I think who will win is Laura Dern in Marriage Story, which she's great in. I actually feel pretty confident all my acting choices for who will win. Who should win? I already admitted I haven't seen Little Women. I hope to rectify that soon. But I was thinking, Sean, do you think there should be like Actor of the Year and Actress of the Year that takes into account your entire year of roles?
No, because sometimes actors and actresses are greatly misled by their agents, or sometimes they just need a paycheck. And so, also because, actors inhabit so many different roles in a year's time that who's the best chameleon becomes what the award becomes.
Okay. I see what you're saying. Well, this is a long way of me saying that I think Florence Pugh was the Actress of the Year with Midsummer and Fighting with My Family and Little Women. So I think she's so fantastic in Midsummer that I'm going to go with Florence Pugh as be who I would pick in this. Even though I haven't seen Little Women, I'm trusting her and what people have said that she's great in it.
All right. So for me, who I think should win, because it is one of those kind of left turns for an actress to make, I picked Margot Robbie, actually, from Bombshell.
Okay.
She's coming out as Harley Quinn this weekend. And last year it was kind of the same thing because she did
I, Tonya. Yeah.
I, Tonya. But who I think will win, I agree. I think Florence Pugh will likely win for Little Women, just because without having seen it, knowing what she's capable of in her body of work, that would be like saying, hey, do you think Olivia Colman's going to be good in this movie? It's like, well, yeah, I don't have to see them. I know she's going to be good in it.
So this is why I think Laura Dern gets it, just because she's been around for so long, is a renowned actress, or she's a great actress. She's never won. I think this is the time to be like, yeah, Laura Dern. Laura Dern will get it.
See, now that came back to bite you last year because you picked Glenn Close last year.
I did. That's true.
And she did not win.
That's true. We'll see. I'd be delighted if Florence Pugh won.
You're listening to The Weekend Take. Visit our Patreon page to become a patron of The Weekend Take, and for as little as $1, you'll receive exclusive content and perks.
For performance by an actor in a supporting role, the nominees are
Tom Hanks for A Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood, Anthony Hopkins for The Two Popes, Al Pacino for The Irishman, Joe Pesci also for The Irishman, and Brad Pitt for Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. This one's for me is an interesting category, but Rob, who are your picks? Who should win and who will win?
All right, so a couple takes on this. First off, do you ever think like there's all these like character actors in Hollywood that are like typecast as character actors, so maybe someday they could get a Best Supporting Actor nomination, and then like a year like this comes out and it's like Tom Hanks, Anthony Hopkins, Al Pacino, Brad Pitt are all the nominees. You think they're just like, oh, come on, stay in the leading role category, dudes.
I feel the same way. I mean, if Mr. Rogers wasn't the leading actor in the movie about Mr. Rogers,
Yeah.
who is the leading actor in that film then?
My second take is I think Anthony Hopkins is so overrated. There's never been a guy that's made a career on just a few minutes of a great role and just continues to be like, oh, Sir Anthony Hopkins. Like, name 5 great Anthony Hopkins movies. You can't. It's not possible. My pick on who I think will win and who I think should win is the same, and that's Brad Pitt and Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
All right. So in this category, because it's so stacked and because it's people who should suck it up and put themselves against the other actors in the leading actor category, I think that Brad Pitt should win.
Mm-hmm.
But ultimately, who I think will win, Tom Hanks has made a career out of portraying these parts and being the lovable Tom Hanks who can inhabit all these different roles, much like we were talking about earlier. So I think ultimately they're going to give it to Tom Hanks.
Okay.
But I think Brad Pitt should win.
I hope he comes to the Oscars as in character as Cliff Booth, by the way.
That would be great.
Yeah.
I would love for DiCaprio and Brad Pitt to,
Yes.
or at least if he wins, accept the award as Cliff Booth.
Yep. That'd be amazing.
He's going to have his acid-dipped cigarette with him on stage.
It'd be amazing.
For performance by an actress in a leading role, the nominees are
Cynthia Erivo for Harriet, Scarlett Johansson for Marriage Story, Saoirse Ronan for Little Women, Charlize Theron for Bombshell, and Renee Zellweger for Judy. So, Rob, this one's, again, another stacked list of actors, but what are your thoughts? Who should win and who will win?
Who will win is Oscar bait. Renee Zellweger as Judy Garland. The Academy can't get enough of it. No one's ever even seen the movie Judy, and they're still going to vote for Renee Zellweger as Judy Garland. So I think she will win. Who should win? I'm actually going to go ScarJo in Marriage Story.
Okay. I also picked Scarlett Johansson for should win for Marriage Story. For a brief moment before we went on the air, I actually had her circled for Best Actress and Best Supporting Actress. I'm like,
that'd be wild.
The Academy loved to make history and have her win both.
Yeah.
Ultimately, I changed my decision on Best Supporting Actress. However, even though she was really good in Jojo Rabbit, again, check out Jojo Rabbit. She's really good in it. In that line of thought, they can't nominate her in both categories and give her nothing. But I think that she should win. Who I picked will win. It's so hard. I think that they're going to go with, again, someone who is this chameleon, and I think they're actually going to go with Charlize Theron.
Yes, you have Bombshell winning 2 acting awards.
I do. Well, Margot Robbie was my pick, who I think should win, and
that's right.
Florence Pugh is who I think will win. In this case, I think Scarlett Johansson should win, but I think Charlize Theron will win. She just inhabits everything about Megyn Kelly so well, down to like the look. Like, she looks scary similar to Megyn Kelly. So like, and that's just who Charlize Theron is. She goes to great lengths to inhabit a character. So
yeah,
just look at Monster.
Unreal. Just she's great. She's great. Great actress and always does interesting roles. Yeah, she's great.
To go from Monster and then see her in Mad Max Fury Road.
Yeah.
And now see her in Bombshell as Megyn Kelly. It's like, these are 3 entirely different people. They have to be.
Yeah.
Ultimately, I think Charlize Theron takes home the Academy Award Sunday, but I would like to see Scarlett Johansson win it.
For performance by an actor in a leading role, the nominees are
Antonio Banderas for Pain and Glory, Leonardo DiCaprio for Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, Adam Driver for Marriage Story, Joaquin Phoenix for Joker, and Jonathan Pryce for The Two Popes. So now, Rob, we mentioned this early on. We'll still discuss it, but who should win and who will win?
So first off, I'm going to point out Adam Sandler was snubbed. Uncut Gems is amazing. The fact that Uncut Gems, I don't think got a single nomination, not even like a screenplay, is a crime, Sean. It's a crime. So that said, who will win? It's going to be Joaquin Phoenix because, of course, it will. Who should win? Even though I think Leo is super underrated as Rick in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, I got to go with my actor of the year, which is Adam Driver.
Okay. But see, now, if you're looking at that, you have to take into account Rise of Skywalker. And
yeah,
you did not like Rise of Skywalker.
I did not, but I did not dislike Adam Driver in it. I just didn't like the movie.
Okay. I think it's kind of a no-brainer. I think Joaquin Phoenix is going to win the Academy Award. Who I think should win, though, I mean, DiCaprio is underrated, but he is just so damn entertaining.
Yeah,
as Rick Dalton in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
That movie's so fun.
It's so great. And, not only is he Leonardo DiCaprio portraying Rick Dalton, he's Leonardo DiCaprio portraying Rick Dalton, portraying whatever character Rick Dalton is in the different television shows or movies that he's in. So a lot of work there for Leo, and I think he's phenomenal at it. That's who I would like to see win. But yeah, just something about playing the Joker gets you an Oscar, apparently.
I guess so.
Unless you're Jared Leto.
Yeah, well, that's true. That's true. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, listen, full disclosure, I have not seen Joker. I am not interested in seeing the superhero version of Taxi Driver directed by the guy who did the Starsky and Hutch remake. Like, I just have no interest. I just have none.
You're so colorful in your description of it. It's not like, I don't want to see Joker. It's, no, I don't want to see the superhero version of Taxi Driver directed by the guy who did the Starsky and Hutch remake and The Hangover.
Yeah, and Road Trip and whatever. Like, a bunch of comedies, which are fine. Like, they're fine. But listen, I'm sure you've got some listeners that love Joker, and happy for you. Please don't be violent towards other people.
I did see Joker. Actually, I saw it twice in theaters. It sets out to be a commentary for, the treatment of mental health and depression. And it's not trying to say that this is what will happen. It's saying that this is a very extreme case of what will happen with the negligence of such problems. I don't necessarily see what people were saying about saying that it's glorifying murder and the anti-hero. It's somebody who's just been pushed to the end of the rope and pushed into a corner, and they strike back. But it certainly doesn't take anything away from Joaquin's performance. I mean, his portrayal of it is incredible. The physical transformation he went through to how he performed in the role, all these things check the boxes for being deserving of an Academy Award. I think he's going to win it. I just think that being a more versatile, well-rounded actor as DiCaprio is in the role as Rick Dalton, I feel deserves to win.
Can I know, because we're going to transition to Best Director, and I'm sure gender politics will come up. So I want to point out something here. This is a pet peeve of mine. There's a lot of great actors that are like this, but this whole idea of method acting drives me crazy, because I really feel like, for the most part, method acting is a way to get away with being an asshole, and the only people that can really get away with it are men. Like, you're not allowed to. Your career in Hollywood does not continue if you were to act this way as a woman on set. It just doesn't. It ends. But like, if you're a man and you're in your method acting or whatever, you're Christian Bale and you're screaming at someone, it's a meme. It's hilarious. It's like, and all I can think of is like, like the thing for Joker is like how Joaquin Phoenix like got into the role and actually like dislocated his kneecap when he like was kicking a garbage can. And I was like, well, that's just bad acting. Don't do that. Just pretend better.
It's like, your job
is to pretend. Let's not pretend it's anything more than that. And I just think it's like a thing where like, if you think of like the method actors, it's almost universally men. And I just think because they can get away with with acting like that, where an actress would not. Their career would end very quickly if they were difficult on set.
Yeah, I mean, even directors. I mean, look at how many explosions David O. Russell's had over the years.
Yes.
And he's still making movies. Not only is he still making movies, he's still making movies that get him and the films nominated for Academy Awards, since we're talking about the Academy Awards.
Yeah.
It is predominantly male roles like Christian Bale, Joaquin Phoenix.
Like another, like, I mean, listen, I'm sure she probably maybe was a problem on the set, but I don't know if you remember Sean Young from the 80s. Like, her career essentially petered out pretty quickly because, you know, she was quote unquote difficult. And I just wonder if she was a male, if it'd be like, oh, she's just a method actor.
Well, in Ace Ventura, she is.
Yeah. That's right. She is delightful in Ace Ventura.
You're listening to The Weekend Take. Visit our Patreon page to become a patron of The Weekend Take, and for as little as $1, you'll receive exclusive content and perks.
For achievement in directing, the nominees are
Martin Scorsese for The Irishman, Todd Phillips for Joker, Sam Mendes for 1917, Quentin Tarantino for Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, and Bong Joon-ho for Parasite. So, Rob, looking at this category, who is your pick that should win and who will win?
This is the hardest one, I think.
I know you love Todd Phillips.
Yeah. Tarantino winning this would be cool. Parasite is great. So, like, that would be another pick. But I actually think the Academy is going to Academy, and 1917 wins this one. With Sam Mendes wins it. They're going to be like, oh, it's one shot. That's hard. and it's a war film, which they love. Anything that happened in real life. I just think if I was picking at what I think will win, it's Sam Mendes. Oh, God, what I think should win? Man, that's tough. I'm gonna give this one to Tarantino.
Okay. I agree with you. I think Tarantino should win. I think he's also just long overdue for his body of work. Not saying that, you know, he should have won for like Kill Bill or anything, but certainly Pulp Fiction should have gotten him something. Hateful Eight should have gotten him something. Django Unchained should have gotten him an award. A lot of opportunities missed with Quentin Tarantino, but I think this one, because it's, like I said earlier, Hollywood loves
Hollywood. Yes.
So I think Tarantino should win. What I think will win, and it checks a lot of the same boxes you mentioned as to why you think Sam Mendes would win, is Scorsese. It's tough, though, because it depends on if the Academy is done being butthurt over the idea of a streaming film winning.
Yeah, that's a good question.
If they can get past that, Scorsese will likely win. If they can't, then Sam Mendes will win for 1917. But doesn't change my pick. I think Tarantino should win.
Any of the non Todd Phillips selections here, I think, are all worthy of winning Best Director. I wouldn't, but I definitely like Tarantino, Scorsese, and Joon-ho. I think are the three best here. And Parasite, like I would not be shocked. I would be shocked a little bit, but not. I think Joon-ho could win it for Parasite.
Yeah, I mean, it's certainly not out of the realm of possibility. They always like to, throw those curveballs in there. I mean, like last year, the Best Picture winner I thought was a curveball, and they picked Green Book.
Yes,
I wouldn't have picked Green Book at all.
No,
and it won. I know you wouldn't have. And with that, here we are, big award of the night, Best Picture.
Yeah.
Just to do a cheap plug for what's coming after this. So, Rob, I'm sure you know, I've been running these tournaments on social media of different themes. After Sunday, when the winner is announced for Best Picture, I'm going to do a small tournament. I'm going to call it the Defend the Crown tournament. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the 8 nominees who don't win Best Picture. They're going to go head to head. And the winner of that 8 competitor tournament is then going to go head to head with the film that did win Best Picture. And I'm going to leave it to the people to choose what really was the Best Picture of 2019.
Oh, Christ. Joker's going to win, and I'm going to have to log off. I'm calling it now.
And finally, we are pleased to announce the films selected as the Best Picture nominees. They are
Ford vs. Ferrari, The Irishman, Jojo Rabbit, Joker, Little Women, Marriage Story, 1917, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, and Parasite. So, Rob, who should win and who will win?
What should win is Parasite. That's a tough one because there's a lot of great movies on this list. Once Upon a Time in Hollywood is great as well. What will win is so difficult because, as you know, this is preferential voting for Best Picture. I believe the way they do it is everyone votes and they rank them, and then if one has over 50%, which obviously doesn't happen right away most of the time, then they remove whatever had the least number of votes, and I think they keep going through it until there's a winner. So 1917 is definitely Oscar bait, right? Most Best Picture winners are something that took place in the past, and obviously Irishman would count for this too. I actually think, because Hollywood loves itself, I think the weird thing that's going to happen out of this is Once Upon a Time in Hollywood is going to be the shocking victory of this. That's what I think will win.
Okay.
I don't think there's going to be a lot of people that don't like it, and I think it will stay up on that list long enough that it will eventually end up winning.
In my picks, I picked what should win, again, because I can't speak to Parasite because I haven't seen it, but I picked what should win. I picked Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. It's a wonderful, kind of love letter to Hollywood in the late 1960s. And just everything about it really kind of fires on all cylinders. Granted, the pacing is a little slower than generally is my taste, and for a lot of people.
It is, but it is, I don't know if you've rewatched it. It's a very, very rewatchable movie because at its core, it's a hangout movie. And so, because it's so fun to hang out with Cliff and Rick, the pacing is less of an issue when you watch it multiple times because you just enjoy those small moments of the hangout, and then you have these bigger moments that you're constantly looking forward to.
Once Upon a Time in Hollywood is my pick to win. What I think will win, it'll come down to one important variable, much like Best Director. If the Academy can get out of its own way with regards to films that choose to exclusively exhibit on a streaming service, then I think The Irishman would win. Much like I thought if they could get out of their own way, Scorsese would win Best Director.
Mm-hmm.
If they can't, then I think 1917, because it's Oscar bait all the way.
All the way.
I think 1917 will win if the Academy can't let go of the fact that streaming is the way things are going.
Yeah, it's like I said, we kind of started this off. I think 2019 is a very underrated year for a lot of great movies. I mean, because there's a bunch of movies that they wouldn't have gotten for big awards, but I mentioned Uncut Gems is great. I also think Booksmart or should have been nominated for screenplay. Midsummer is just crazy. We were remiss to not mention J-Lo for Best Supporting Actress in Hustlers. There's a lot of movies that got no nominations that are very good, and plus all the movies that we're talking about, most of them are really, really good movies. It was a great year in film.
It was, and I think one of the things that stood out to me this year with the nominations was the fact that there were so few films taking up so many nominations. I mean, Joker had 11.
Yeah.
Once Upon a Time in Hollywood had 10.
Yep.
The Irishman had 10. And 1917 had 10 nominations. I mean, when do you remember that happening? Usually you'd get something like Titanic got 12 nominations. And I think the next closest film had 5.
Yeah.
This year there was 11 nominations, 10 nominations, 10 nominations, 10 nominations, which doesn't leave much room at the table for things like Uncut Gems, like Jennifer Lopez.
Mm-hmm.
What does that exactly say about how the Academy goes about nominating films? Has it just become so homogenized that only a few films are worthy in their eyes of nominations at this point?
I think that's part of it. I think momentum is a big deal. The other one we didn't mention that I think was a super interesting movie and should have for sure gotten an actress nomination is Us. Lupita Nyong'o is fantastic in that movie in a very difficult role, and I don't think she got really any Oscar. That's the world of horror films, though. You don't really get talked about as much as you should.
You're listening to The Weekend Take. Visit our Patreon page to become a patron of The Weekend Take, and for as little as $1, you'll receive exclusive content and perks.
All right, Rob, there's our picks. It's going to be interesting to see Sunday for sure, how spot on we were or what surprises us. For every Joaquin Phoenix that we expect, I'm sure there's a Green Book waiting for us around the corner.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That's true. There's always a surprise.
I know it's way too early to tell, but what, looking ahead in 2020, do you see being a future kind of awards contender, just based on the log line or synopsis or what you can expect to see?
I actually don't look out ahead that much. I like to go see movies in the theater when I can. I don't like have things circled where I'm like, oh, I cannot wait for this. I kind of like, all of a sudden something gets released or you see the trailer come out and then I start getting excited. So I don't have an answer for you on this. So we'll see. I mean, I would have never thought. Well, I guess I shouldn't say that. I mean, there's a lot of things in the Best Picture nominees that I would have been excited about. Obviously, a Scorsese film, a Tarantino film, Greta Gerwig movie. Like, there's a lot of things that were pretty obvious that I would be excited about. So that's a long way of saying I don't know, but I'm excited to find out. But I bet it won't be as good as this year.
Yeah, this was definitely an exceptional year. So yeah, I guess we'll just have to see, and hopefully this time next year we'll be discussing this again just to see what there was that showed itself to us in 2020 to get nominated for Academy Awards.
When Doolittle gets 17 nominations next year.
Oh God. No. You know what? I do know one movie right now that's going to have Academy Award nominations next year.
Okay.
Do you know what that is? Tenet.
Oh.
Christopher Nolan.
Yeah, that's probably true.
Because the Academy loves them some Christopher Nolan.
Yeah, they do. I mean, obviously, like, Dune. We'll see what Dune ends up being. The other one that is as Oscar bait will be West Side Story, directed by Spielberg. That is designed for the Oscars to get excited about.
I would have thought that Cats would have been that too until the trailer came out.
True. Yeah, things can go awry pretty quickly.
I guess we'll have to see. So, all right, Rob. Well, before I let you go, as I've introduced you, your co-host for Forrest Gump Minute.
Mm-hmm.
Give us a plug for Forrest Gump Minute.
Yeah, Forrest Gump Minute's a weekly show where we talk about the movie Forrest Gump. Ready for this, Sean? 4 minutes at a time. So that's as absurd as it sounds. Essentially, take the movie Forrest Gump, split it into 4-minute segments, and each week we talk about one of those segments. So there's a lot of Forrest Gump talk, but if you don't like Forrest Gump, I think you'll still enjoy our podcast because myself and my 2 other hosts, we sort of have differing views about Forrest Gump. It's interesting anytime you have a minute-by-minute podcast like this to kind of watch as the host's views of a movie change when you're talking about it in such a minute way, 4 minutes at a time. So check that out at forrestgumpminute.com.
And if you don't like Forrest Gump, but let's say you're a fan of, say, Titanic or Tombstone.
Yes.
There are minute podcasts for that as well, is there not?
It is, but Titanic Minute, that's we did that minute by minute. 195 episodes. It was 5 days a week. That was intense. People loved it, which is amazing. But this time we decided to slow down a little bit and do a weekly show at 4 minutes at a time.
A free podcast presented by the Midnight Boys. You guys just announced your new season, right?
Yeah, so we try to do free podcasts is afreepodcast.com, but essentially we try to do seasons. So our season we just finished was Our Dumb Decade. So we looked at movies that looked ahead into the future, and that future was the decade we just experienced. So, for example, The Running Man would be a movie we talked about. And then our next season that we'll start working on is Problematic Faves. So each of us will choose a movie that we really like, but, we understand now looking back that, oh boy, there are some real issues, and kind of, we'll talk through that, deal with the fact that there's sometimes movies we love that don't age well at all.
And if anybody wants to learn more about any of those, they can go to afreepodcast.com.
Yes, absolutely. Yep.
And they can also find you on social media.
Yep, at Free Podcast, and also at Gump Minute for Forrest Gump Minute.
Again, thank you so much, Rob, for coming on to do Oscar picks with us, and I hope to do it again next year.
Yeah, thanks for having me back a second year on this.
Be sure to check out The Weekend Take. We're on social media as well. We're on Facebook at www.facebook.com/The Weekend Take. We're on Twitter at The Weekend Take. And be sure to check out our Patreon campaign at www.patreon.com/theweekendtake, where for as little as $1 per month, you can become a patron of The Weekend Take and get exclusive extended cuts of episodes. In case you want to hear more of the conversation that Rob and I had today or any of our previous guests. You also get early access to episodes, and starting this season, you get Patreon patron exclusive episodes. You also get a free Weekend Take sticker to show us off to your friends, and many more perks that were just announced this week. So be sure to check us out there. But until next time, I want to thank you all for tuning in, and I want everyone to have a great week ahead, and we'll catch you all later. Take care. Bye.
You've been listening to The Weekend Take. Be sure to subscribe on iTunes and Google Play and follow us on Facebook and Twitter. Visit our Patreon page to become a patron of The Weekend Take, and for as little as $1, you'll receive exclusive content and perks.